tell everyone how wonderful he is. And so we're back here now tonight, and I hope by the time I finish introducing him, we can just go home because you'll all be convinced. So people ask me, why are you supporting Corey? It's very, very simple. One, we must turn Virginia red. We absolutely must for our nation. And so we have to make the judgment and the decision as to who would be best to fill the seat of governor, who can beat the Democrat. I support Corey for two reasons. First, his background, his leadership experience in Prince William County. And what he has done in Prince William County, he will apply across the state. And number one, of course, we have the immigration issue, which is huge. And Corey was way out there before anyone else. And he handed over 7,500 criminal illegal aliens to ICE. We don't know what he did with them, but we handed them over. And I always say, thank you, Corey, all the illegal immigrants left Prince William County and came over to Fairfax County where I live. So the other thing with Corey is, and we should really move to Prince William County, their taxes are 30% lower than ours. So he's great on taxes. And when it comes to small businesses, a little known fact is that Prince William County is first in the state for being friendly to small businesses and third in the entire country.
Yeah,
so
he's with me.
Corey's platform and Corey's policies align right up with that of our president. And so that is the second reason that I'm supporting Corey. I was with him, again, from before day one. We stuck our neck out there, we took the flak, we traveled the state, and we believed. Did we ever believe? From day one until the very end. And Corey Stewart was loyal. Now that is a little known characteristic in political circles. So I really admire him for that. So not only for his leadership experience, his proven leadership experience, but for his loyalty to our president. And so now it is my pleasure to introduce Corey, unless you're all convinced.
Okay, all right. It's been a lot of fun traveling with Alice for the last year and a half, whatever it's been, since the beginning of the Trump campaign here in Virginia. Well, first I want to thank Dottie. Thank you very much. Where'd you go? There you are, right in the back. Thank you very much. Give her a round of applause. And someone who is now able to travel with me because my mother-in-law is staying in my house, and we do get along, by the way. She doesn't speak a lot of English, but no. But I want to introduce my. I'm going to get in trouble for that one. I want to introduce my wife of 22 years. My wife Maria, standing in that. So it's great to be here because, you know, actually, it was in this room where after we put a policy in place in 2007, cracking down on illegal immigration, I came here and met with some of you, and actually met with some of your government officials here to talk about what you can do in Winchester, similar to what we did in Prince William County. I don't think that ever happened, no, unfortunately, but it needs to happen. It needs to happen because what was happening in Northern Virginia in 2007 with regard to MS-13, as you know, it is spread throughout the state, including here in Winchester. And it's not just in Winchester, and it's not just in Fairfax and other parts of Northern Virginia, and it's not just in Hampton Roads. Because 6 weeks ago, in Lynchburg, the home of Liberty University, an illegal alien gang, of course, MS-13, 80% of whose members are illegal aliens, 3 illegal aliens who were members of that gang who had been previously arrested by law enforcement authorities in Virginia and in Maryland, and who were released after they committed their crimes instead of being deported. 3 of them abducted a 17-year-old 11th grader, and there are no children in here, I don't think, So I can tell you what they did when he was alive. They cut off his hands, they cut off his feet, and then they slit his throat. And then they dumped his body in Bedford. So this is something that the press does not want to talk about. It's something that the Democrats don't want to talk about. And it's something that establishment Republicans don't want to talk about because they have no guts. But you know something? We have guts. And we have to have guts, especially when you're leading. Because the number one job of any elected official, whether it's a local official or a state official or a federal official, is to protect the lives and the safety and the rights of the citizens we serve. Right. So, Alice is right. So far in Prince William County, since that day in 2007 when we put together and put in place the toughest crackdown on illegal immigration anywhere in the United States, a policy that was adopted and copied in the state of Arizona, a policy that has not resulted in a single, not one, not a single case of racial profiling. It's a policy that has resulted in the apprehension, the identification as illegal aliens, and the handing over of those illegal aliens over to ICE. More than 7,500 criminal illegal aliens for deportation. 7,500 of them. Do you know what happened right after we did that? The crime rate in Prince William County plummeted by 48.7% in 2 years. The Washington Post called that a coincidence. We know it's not. We know it's not. And it's a very serious thing because people are dying. Children are dying. And it's not just, you know, this poor boy down in Lynchburg. It's teenage girls who are abducted and assaulted as part of a gang ritual, and then they disappear. It's happening around the state. Now, let me tell you something that establishment Republicans will say, that they're against illegal immigration. Well, that's good, but what are you willing to do about it? Because that's where the rubber meets the road. And my opponent on the Republican side, I call him Establishment Ed, he says he's not going to give driver's licenses to illegal aliens. Well, Ed, guess what? It's already against the law. That's already the policy, it's already the law in Virginia. That's nothing new. But what's not the law in Virginia, and that needs to be the law in Virginia, is that in every single locality in the Commonwealth, and every single jail in the Commonwealth, when any illegal alien is arrested by law enforcement, we check immigration status, and if they're here illegally, we hand them over for deportation. And you know what's going to happen? Those illegal aliens, especially those involved in gang activity, will leave Virginia, and all of us will be a lot more safe after we put that policy into place. And that is what I'm going to do. One of the first things I'm going to do as governor of the Commonwealth is sign that into legislation, sign that into law, and we're going to make sure that we have the toughest crackdown on illegal immigration anywhere in the United States of America. So I know there's been a lot of talk about the historical monuments. And the press, of course, they like to deride this issue, and they like to make fun of it. Establishment Republicans like to do that too. Let me tell you why this is so important. Because 10 years ago, do you remember what the byword was among Democrats, what they were talking about when they were referring to conservatives? Do you remember this? 3 words, or 4. The war on women. Do you remember that? The war on women. Well, they're not talking about that anymore because it didn't work. Eventually, people figured it out that it wasn't going to work. So Democrats and liberals and even establishment Republicans have figured out a new way to divide us. And that new word, the new byword that they're using is white supremacy. White supremacy this, white supremacy that. And if you won't take a position against, if you defend historical monuments, you're a white supremacist, or you support white supremacists, anything like that. And when you give into it, folks, you're playing their game. You're playing their game. So this guy comes down to Charlottesville, has some sort of a demonstration or whatever, and the press and the Democrats immediately go to the Republicans who are running for governor and say, are you going to denounce this? Are you going to blah, 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 and all this other stuff, all these white supremacists going down there? And you know, here's the thing, folks. As soon as you get involved in their game, you get off of your game. We can't do that. We cannot allow your back us off. When we play defense, from that point forward, we're on our heels. I will refuse to play the liberals' game. They won't do it. So why are they doing this? Because let me tell you something. They're saying they're starting off with the easier people to pick on. Confederate generals, right? Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, Jeb Stewart, and then of course the President of the Confederacy. And they are starting off with that, and they're starting off in Charlottesville, liberal city. They take down the statue of Robert E. Lee. Then it's Jeb Stewart, then it's Stonewall Jackson, and everything else, Jefferson Davis, etc. Because they fought for the Confederacy, and in part the Confederacy, of course, slavery was lawful in the Confederacy. So they were supporters, according to the liberals, they were supporters of slavery. We know that they take a lot of, they're not exactly honest about the true history. There was slavery in the North, too. There was slavery in the North, not just in the South, and only a small fraction of soldiers who fought in the South actually were slaveholders. But the liberals don't care about the truth. We know that. So what's the next logical step? If you're going to take down the monuments of those who fought for the Confederacy because the Confederacy was, slavery was lawful in the Confederacy, well then shouldn't you also take down the monuments of slaveholders, of slave owners? That's where they're going. And that includes our founding fathers. All of them. In Virginia, Washington, Jefferson, Madison. They're all going away. And once you have removed the statues of those founders, and to remove the statue, first you have to undermine the man. And then they take down the statue. And then, of course, once you've undermined the man and you've removed him from history, from the memories of our history and the names of things that we've given to these founders, then you have undermined the document that they created. Wow. Namely, and most importantly, the Constitution of the United States. And that is where the left is going with all of this. And that is why we have to stand up strong right now, especially in Virginia. If they can take down Jefferson and Washington and Madison in Virginia, they can do it in every other state in the United States. And that is why when I am governor, I will sign into law an absolute prohibition on the removal of any Virginia hero, whether it's Washington, Jefferson, Madison, or whether it's Stonewall Jackson, Robert E. Lee, or Jeb Stewart. Over my dead body will anyone remove any of those statues when I'm governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. We're going to stop them now. We're going to stop them now. You got to nip this in the bud, and it's a very important issue for that reason. Finally, I'll talk about taxes, and I'll take any questions. So, I have some experience on this. I've been governing Prince William County for 10 years as the at-large chairman. In most localities, of course, you have the chairman is elected from among the sitting supervisors. In Prince William, Loudoun, and Fairfax, three big Northern Virginia localities, you have a countywide elected, directly elected as chairman. So it's a bit like being a big city mayor. Prince William County is now the second largest locality in Virginia. We just surpassed Virginia Beach. 454,000 residents. It's 54% minority, and I've won that county, countywide, 4 times. 4 times. Special election 2006, 07, 2011, and just recently in 2015. by increasing margins. In fact, I'm the only Republican who's been able to win it since 2009. The only one. So the reason I've been able to do it is I've been able to govern, and I've been able to keep taxes low. The very first budget that I controlled, taxes were, before that, they were out of control. Increasing by double-digit increases in the average tax bills. So what we did that year is we held each and every department head accountable, required them to come up with their cuts. Because let me tell you something how not to cut a budget. When a politician comes up with specific cuts, the bureaucrats who know that budget better than anybody else are going to come up with a million reasons why you can't cut that thing. So I said, fine, if you know that budget so well, then you tell me where to cut. Well, I don't know. No, don't give them a choice. So that's what we did. We forced them to come up with cuts, and in a single year, we cut in Prince William County $185 million out of our base budget in recurring spending, dropped the tax bill, the average tax bill in a single year by more than $400, and today, as a result of that, average tax bills in Prince William County today are lower when adjusted for inflation than they were when I took office 10 years ago. And I'm very proud of that, and that is why, let me tell you this, you cannot cut taxes unless you cut spending. Right? There's only one Republican who thinks that you can, and his name is Ed Gillespie. He's got a plan. He says that he's going to cut taxes, but guess how much he's going to cut in spending? Zero. Nada. Nothing. He says he's going to use increased revenues that are magically going to appear in Virginia. That hasn't happened in 10 years. And even if it happened 1 year, we couldn't count on it being recurring. It's not a tax plan. It's not a real tax plan. It's a sham. My plan cuts in a single year, and this is reasonable. It cuts $2.2 billion out of the base budget, out of the $52 billion budget. Approximately about a 3.7% cut in the budget. That's reasonable. Governor Wilder did more. A Democrat. We can at least do that. And that will allow us to reduce taxes in a single year, income taxes, to reduce the top marginal income tax rate in Virginia from 5.75%, which I guarantee you every one of you pays, 5.75% to 4.75% in a single year, and we'll reduce it more. And instead of having one of the highest tax rates on the East Coast, Virginia will have one of the lowest, and we're going further, and that is going to be my top priority as governor, is cutting taxes. So I'll leave it at that. The only thing I leave it with is this. So if you're looking for somebody who's a winner, who knows how to govern, somebody who's a proven winner, even in Northern Virginia, somebody who's led a big crackdown on illegal immigration, somebody who's been able to cut spending and cut taxes, and if you're looking for somebody who's going to stand up strong for our conservative values and is not afraid of controversy, Lord knows I'm not, then I'm your candidate. Let's take back Virginia. Thanks a lot.